What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors finally hits his breaking point on live television? The tension inside the View studio was so thick you could feel it through the screen. Michael B. Jordan sat stone-faced across from the panel, his jaw tight, his eyes narrowing with each passing second. What began as a routine interview to promote his latest blockbuster quickly unraveled into something no one expected. By the end, the entire studio would be left stunned. Before we break down the moment that stopped daytime TV in its tracks, one question remains. Do celebrities owe us more than just entertainment? The lights were hot, the air electric. Michael B. Jordan took his seat, flashing that signature smile that made him one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. He was there to talk about his new action thriller, helicopter stunts, explosive set pieces, the works. Whoopi Goldberg greeted him with warmth. Joy Behar tossed out a few light-hearted jokes. But Sunny Hostin sat stiff, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. "So, Michael," Whoopi began, "tell us about this new film. We heard you did most of your own stunts." Michael leaned in, energized. "Yeah, this one pushed me. Hanging off helicopters, diving through explosions. I think my stunt coordinator aged 10 years just watching me." The audience laughed. Joy chuckled. But Sunny didn't move. Then, mid-sentence, she cut in. "That's all very impressive," she said flatly, her voice tinged with sarcasm. "But why should audiences care about another mindless action movie when there are real problems in the world?" Michael blinked, caught off guard. "Well, I think entertainment matters. People need escapism, especially in hard times." "Escapism?" Sunny repeated, almost sneering. "How convenient for someone in your position." The room shifted. Joy shifted uncomfortably. "Sunny, come on. He's here to talk about his movie." But Sunny wasn't done. She leaned in, eyes locked on Michael. "You're one of the very few black actors at this level. And instead of using that power for something meaningful, you're making movies where you blow stuff up and kiss pretty women." Michael gripped the armrests. "With all due respect, you have no idea what I do with my platform. I've built production companies to uplift black creators, funded scholarships, supported community programs." "Oh, please," Sunny waved her hand dismissively. "A few tax write-offs don't change the fact that you're playing into tired stereotypes. The angry black man, the violent hero. Don't you think you have a responsibility to do better?" Silence. No music, no laughter, just the hum of a studio holding its breath. Michael inhaled slowly, trying to stay calm. "I have a responsibility to tell stories that resonate. If you actually watched my films, you'd know they're about redemption, family, and resilience, not just action." "Save the press release," Sunny snapped. "When's the last time you turned down a paycheck because a role didn't uplift the community, or because the character was a stereotype?" Whoopi jumped in, trying to mediate. "Okay, let's all just take a breath." "No," Michael said, lifting his hand. "I'll answer that. I've walked away from millions because I didn't believe in a role. I've fought with studios to rewrite scripts, hire diverse crews, and build something better. But you don't know that because you've already made up your mind about me." Sunny let out a cold laugh. "Oh, now you're the victim. The poor millionaire actor being challenged. This is exactly what I mean. When someone holds you accountable, you call it an attack." Michael's voice rose, barely contained. "You're not holding me accountable. You're questioning my integrity, my blackness, my entire career based on your personal opinion about action movies." "I'm questioning your priorities, Michael," she shot back. "You have young black men looking up to you, and you're telling them success is pretending to be a superhero while collecting paychecks and wearing custom suits." Now, the studio truly shifted. The other hosts looked frozen. This wasn't banter. It was a knife fight. Michael stared at her, stunned. "You know what's really sad?" he said quietly. "We're two successful black professionals. We've both broken barriers, and instead of celebrating that, you're tearing me down because I don't fit your mold of acceptable black success. Don't make this about black unity, Sonny snapped. This is about accountability. No, Michael said, eyes hard. This is about control. You're not asking questions, you're giving a lecture. And you're assuming the right to decide how black men should build their careers. A beat of silence followed. Then Sonny's hand slammed the table. I'm doing what journalists do, asking tough questions. But Michael stayed calm, controlled, devastating. No, you're using journalism as a cover for personal judgment. And if this is what passes for dialogue now, I think we're done here. He stood up and walked off set. The studio was dead silent. The audience gasped. The hosts scrambled to regain control. But Sonny just sat there, arms crossed, jaw tight, staring straight ahead. Clearly, you're just too comfortable in your bubble to handle any real scrutiny, Sonny snapped. Michael blinked in disbelief. Real scrutiny? He echoed, incredulous. You haven't asked me a single question about my actual work. You've just made assumption after assumption about who I am and what I represent. That's not journalism. That's character assassination. Sarah Haynes finally tried to cut in, her voice tentative. Maybe we could just steer this back to the film. But Sonny steamrolled right past her. You want to talk about your work? Fine. Let's talk about how your last 5 films have all featured you playing the same brooding, muscle-bound black man, solving problems with violence. Do you not see how that feeds into harmful stereotypes? Michael's hands tightened on the armrests, knuckles white. First of all, that's just factually wrong. In those films, I've played a civil rights attorney, a single father, a space pilot, and yes, 2 action roles. But you wouldn't know that because you clearly didn't bother to do your homework. Sonny scoffed. Don't talk to me about research. I've done mine. I've watched how you navigate Hollywood, always playing it safe, never taking real risks, never challenging the system you profit from. The audience had started murmuring. Some pulled out their phones, recording. This was clearly going viral. In the control room, producers gestured frantically, trying to contain the spiraling segment. But on stage, no one noticed. Michael stood abruptly, then sat back down, his jaw clenched. You know what I find fascinating? He said, voice low and sharp. You sit at this table every day collecting a paycheck from Disney, one of the most powerful entertainment corporations in the world. And you're lecturing me about challenging the system. When was the last time you bit the hand that feeds you, Sonny? Sonny's voice rose instantly to meet his. Don't you dare try to flip this on me. I use my platform to speak truth to power every single day from the safety of this desk. Michael shot back. With your makeup done and your talking points rehearsed, you want to talk about impact? I employ hundreds of people, most of them people of color, through my production company. I mentor young actors. I fund scholarships and film programs in underserved communities. But because I also make action movies, none of that matters to you. Whoopi tried again, gently. All right, everyone, let's take a moment. But Sonny was already pressing forward. You know what your problem is? She said, eyes blazing. You've bought into your own hype. You think abs and a perfect smile and being able to throw a fake punch on camera makes you a hero. She leaned in. Real heroes don't need stunt doubles. Real heroes show up when it's uncomfortable. When there's something actually at stake. Michael stared at her, his voice like ice. Like what you're doing right now? Ambushing a guest on your show because of a personal vendetta? That's your idea of heroism? I don't have a vendetta, Sonny replied. I have standards. Standards for what we should expect from people who call themselves role models. And frankly, you fall short. Even the other hosts looked shaken. Joy Behar reached across the table, her voice urgent. Okay, that's enough. This is getting out of hand. But Michael lifted a hand, stopping her. His eyes never left Sonny's. No, let her finish. I want to hear more about how I'm failing the Black community by being successful in my own profession. Please, Sunny, enlighten me on how you became the gatekeeper of authentic Blackness. Sunny pointed directly at him, her voice cutting. See? That's exactly your problem. You think success automatically makes you right. But sometimes success just means you figured out how to sell out better than the rest. You think just because you're getting paid, you've made it. Sunny scoffed. What about integrity? What about using your influence for more than just entertainment? Michael's composure cracked, exhaustion visible in his face. Entertainment brings joy to millions. It creates jobs. It builds culture. It brings families together. But you're too wrapped up in your ivory tower judgment to see the value in anything that doesn't fit your narrow definition of worth. Sunny's voice trembled with fury. Narrow? I'm narrow because I expect more from someone in your position? Because I think you should be doing more than throwing fake punches and playing dress-up? That was it. Something shifted behind Michael's eyes. He slowly pushed back his chair and stood, towering now, calm, but unmistakably done. I came here to have a conversation, to share my work with your audience. But this isn't a conversation. It's a public flogging delivered by someone who thinks she's the judge, jury, and executioner of Black excellence. Sit down, Sunny snapped. We're not done here. Yes, we are, Michael said flatly. I don't need to justify my existence to you. I don't need to defend my career to someone who's built hers by sitting behind a desk and tearing other people down. Gasps rippled through the audience as he reached for his microphone and unclipped it. A squeal of feedback pierced the air as the audio tech scrambled. You're really walking away? Sunny taunted. Can't handle a few tough questions? This is exactly what I mean. The moment you get challenged instead of coddled, you bail. Some hero. Michael paused at the edge of the stage, then slowly turned. His voice, though unamplified, filled the room. I'm not walking away because of your questions, Sunny. I'm walking away because this isn't an interview. It's a performance. And I refuse to be your prop. The studio went dead silent. You want a real conversation about representation, responsibility, and using your platform? I'm here for that. But this, he gestured toward the table, this is theater. You're grandstanding at my expense, and I won't be a part of it. He turned and walked off stage. The only sound left was the hum of the cameras and the stunned murmurs of an audience that had just witnessed daytime TV history. I respect myself too much to play along? Respect yourself, Sunny laughed bitterly. You respect your bank account. There's a difference. Michael took 2 slow, deliberate steps toward her. Security tensed. The difference, Sunny, he said, voice cutting and steady, is that I'm honest about what I do. I make movies. I tell stories. I create jobs. I build things. He nodded toward her chair. Pretend this is journalism when it's just judgment. You call it accountability, but really it's just cynicism in a nicer dress. At least I have standards. Sunny shot back, now standing too. I hold people accountable. No, Michael replied. You ambush people. You weaponize your platform to tear others down and feel superior. That's not accountability. That's bullying, with a bigger vocabulary. The other hosts were on their feet, trying to physically position themselves between the two. The audience erupted into chaos, half booing, half cheering, everyone recording. Walk away then, Sunny shouted as Michael turned. Prove me right. Show everyone what happens when the questions aren't scripted and the applause isn't guaranteed. Michael stopped, one hand on the door. The entire studio held its breath. Then he turned just once more. You want to know the difference between us? He said, voice calm but thunderous. I don't hide behind false righteousness. I show up, I work, I build. You craft viral moments and call it truth. But when this is over and the clips stop trending, ask yourself, what you've actually made. What I've made, Sonny snarled, is accountability, something you clearly can't handle. What you've made, he replied, is a hostile set. A place where dignity goes to die under the pretense of tough questions. Whoopi stepped forward, voice firm. Michael, please, let's take a breath. We can pull this back. Michael gave her a respectful nod. No disrespect to you, Whoopi, or the rest of you, but I won't sit here and be disrespected by someone who walked in with her mind made up. That's not a conversation. That's a conviction. Sonny's voice followed him as he moved toward the exit. Sorry it wasn't the softball segment you're used to. Michael, maybe stick to your script next time. He didn't turn again. He just pushed through the door and vanished backstage, leaving the studio in absolute chaos. Half the crowd erupted in applause. The other half booed. Phones were everywhere. The remaining hosts stood frozen, unsure how to continue after one of the most explosive moments in the show's history. Sonny remained standing, chest rising and falling with adrenaline, a faint smirk creeping across her lips. Well, she said into the stunned silence, I guess we got our answer about how he handles pressure. Whoopi's voice cut through sharply. Sonny, that was completely inappropriate. We invited that man here as a guest. You ambushed him. Sonny slid back into her seat, brushing down her dress like nothing had happened. I did my job, she said coolly. If he can't handle tough questions, maybe he should stick to action scenes. Joy Behar looked genuinely shaken, her voice barely above a whisper. That wasn't journalism, Sonny. That was something else. Those weren't tough questions. That was a hit job, Joy continued, her voice low but unwavering. You decided he was guilty before he even sat down, guilty of wasting his potential. Sonny replied coolly, no regret in her eyes. Guilty of choosing easy money over meaningful impact. Sarah, always the mediator, couldn't hold back. But why say it like that? She asked. Why turn it into an attack instead of a conversation? Sonny didn't flinch. Because conversations don't change anything. Comfort doesn't make progress. Michael B. Jordan's been coasting for too long. I just held up a mirror. From the audience, someone shouted, You should be ashamed of yourself. That triggered a second wave of chaos. Security stepped in, trying to keep arguments from turning physical. The crowd was divided, shouting over each other. We need to go to commercial, Whoopi called out, raising her voice over the noise. But Sonny wasn't done. She turned directly to the cameras. I'm not going to apologize for doing real journalism, for asking why one of the most visible black actors in the world keeps choosing roles that glorify violence and stereotypes. If that makes me the villain, so be it, Joyce snapped. It's not what you ask, Sonny. It's how. There's a difference between challenging someone and trying to publicly humiliate them. Sonny scoffed. He's a grown man. He's rich. If he can't handle real questions, that's on him. The fact that he walked out proves my point. When held accountable, he folded. Backstage, Michael's team packed up in silence. Producers were in crisis mode. PR phones were already ringing. Meanwhile, on stage, things escalated further. Another audience member stood and shouted, You owe him an apology. That was disgusting. Sonny turned toward the voice. I owe him nothing. I owe our viewers honesty, not ego-stroking. But you didn't ask questions. Another audience member shot back. You attacked him. In the control room, the director hesitated. This was chaos, but unprecedented television. Whoopi had had enough. That's it. We're cutting to...